Tonight, neighbors in Tampa are concerned about dozens of convicted sex offenders living in their neighborhood after serving time behind bars. Tonight, after a decade of calls for action, 10 Tampa Bay's Miranda Parnell shares how city leaders are now responding. Under the blue street lights on North Nebraska Avenue, there are 3 homes that neighbors in VM Ybor say have created a clustering of sexual predators.
Why is this okay anywhere in our city?
Because certain sex offenders are prohibited from living 1,000 feet away from things like parks, playgrounds, or schools, the Department of Corrections has only identified 3 areas in Tampa with low-income housing where these offenders are eligible to live. One of those places is VM Ybor.
It is not our responsibility as a neighborhood to have to deal with this problem. I'm sure there's solutions. I know that this is a complex problem.
It is complex. That's why the city brought in USF criminology professor Dr. Brianna Fox to take a look at solutions the city can consider since the offenders are legally living where they can. She says creating re-entry plans for the offenders before they're released from jail or prison can help prevent them from getting out and getting back into trouble.
For people that are leaving jail, especially in these circumstances, we have no plan, no ability to do it, and yet we expect them to not commit another crime. So being able to do that and planning before they get released is one of the most effective things you can do to reduce crime.
And now council is planning to look more closely at the problem to look for housing solutions that would help prevent neighborhoods from having such a high density of sex offenders.
This is not the way we need to go moving forward, to have only 3 legal spots.
And neighbors who have already waited years for action from City Council will now have to see if change is actually on the way.
Advocate for a more equitable distribution, a more regional approach to this.
In Tampa, Miranda Parnell, 10 Tampa Bay.
In Pinellas County, there is one community dedicated to giving sex offenders an area to live. The Palace Mobile Home Park in St. Pete is home to about 120 registered sex offenders, convicted rapists, child sex abusers, and child pornography addicts. It's run by Bill Fury, who is also a convicted sex offender. I spoke to him about the benefits of the park in November.
It absolutely works because it keeps us concentrated. It keeps all the sex offenders in one area so they're easier to watch for law enforcement, for probation. But more importantly, sex offenders can police each other. We know how we think. We know what warning signs to look for. We know what triggers are, and we can keep an eye on each other.
So we also spoke to a clinical psychologist who has spent decades studying pedophilia and the neuroscience of sex. My full report on this mobile home park and insight into the psychology behind those offenders is posted right now on 10tampabay.com.